Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to another episode of Figure News. Today I have for you a couple of showcases once again. Feel free to use the timestamps for each section, but I want to start off with Prisma TV. Last time we talked about them, it was a bit disappointing due to how lacking their episode 2 was, but they did state that episode 3 would have a lot more to talk about. And they weren't lying, so how about we cut this intro short and just start getting into it. Our first figure announcement was for the Siesta wedding dress figure from The Detective Is Already Dead. We've seen this one back during episode 1, but now she's fully painted and likely going up for sale pretty soon. So for a wedding dress figure, it's not breaking new ground, but it does look lovely. The sculpting of the dress is really well done, and all the shading throughout it looks great. And personally, I'm a big fan of all the red paint they use to more prominently pronounce the shape of the dress itself. It really helps it pop out at you. Like, it can be really common for a wedding dress figure to just look like a blob of white plastic, but this color palette avoids that pitfall. And it's also just not a common color found on a wedding dress figure. I like that. Her base is also rather tasteful, being a photo frame decorated with a bunch of really pretty flowers. Interestingly enough though, while the plants and leaves underneath seem to be plastic, the flowers look to be like some sort of fabric material. It's a little strange when they zoomed in, but from far away it wasn't really noticeable, so it's probably fine. Though I do hope it's not easy to damage them. Her face, not really the biggest fan unfortunately, it falls a bit flat for me. I just wish her expression was a bit more, well, expressive honestly. Her delicate smile is fine, but when combined with her eyes I don't get the impression that she's in love. But maybe if she's your waifu you feel completely different. Next up was Shuvi. Last time we saw her, it was just a teaser, but now we have the final painted prototype, and she's going up for sale extremely soon, by the end of the week, I believe. Besides this probably being a bit of a risk to talk about, knowing YouTube's guidelines, I'm gonna just move forward and just talk about her. As the accompanying figure to the Shiro who's already out for pre-order, I actually think this one looks a lot better. Her hair sculpt is wonderful, very voluminous, and painted in a really pleasing way. Her purple hair transitioning to a very rich blue and ending in a light green just looks super good. And due to her being a mechanical girl, all that machine-like detail throughout her body is really impressive looking. Her base is a chessboard, but the pieces are instead crystal clear along with the floating cubes around her. Maybe it's just the lighting in this video, but they look so nice. The clear blue being added to various points complements this figure's color palette fantastically. Whereas Shiro looked a bit messy with the explosion of accessories on the base, the simplified nature of Shuvi's base works a lot better. It's still interesting, but keeping it reserved to just a few chess pieces and those cubes helps keep the focus of the figure still on Shuvi. Everything about this one seems to be working. Probably going to be really expensive, but we'll know very soon either way. So after this, we got a big old announcement dump. All figure announcements with nothing shown, just letting us know that they are in fact being made. Not even telling us which characters they are making, and hopefully we all just make the right guesses. But since Prisma Wing is so new, I'd be very surprised if they didn't choose the most popular characters first. But sure, I'll play along. First up was a Eurocamp figure. If I had to guess, Nadeshiko or Rin, though personally I'd love to see Aoi. Next up was an Overlord figure who surely will be Albedo, but if they want to surprise us with something else, I am down to see it. It's definitely going to be Albedo though. Konosuba was announced right after, and this could really go a few ways, but for a company's first Konosuba figure, Aqua or Megumin is the safest bet. While I do like Megumin more, I actually think I would rather see Aqua get a figure first, just because I'm more interested in seeing what they can do with her design. Dynamic big base figures for Megumin kinda just design themselves, but with Aqua, I think they need to be a bit more creative, and would be a bit more exciting to see them pull it off. Next up was a certain scientific railgun, so most likely Misaka Mikoto, and I'm sure you can visualize how this one will look. Maiden Abyss is getting a new figure, and I actually have no idea who they're going to go for, but I'm kind of just hoping it's not Nanachi, just so they give other characters a chance to shine. We all love Nanachi, but at this point the scale is skewed so far in her favor in getting figures that I would love to see others get a nice figure instead. Since the characters are so small, I would personally love to see Riko and Reg together in one figure. There's a lot of potential there for something special. Either that or Bondrewd. His design is sick, but there's no way they're going to do that. And finally in this section, Shikimori's Not Just a Cutie is getting a figure, and I don't think we need to make a prediction about this one, though the announcement itself was surprising at least. Alright, so following all that, there was just a few more announcements. The Golden Kamui boys have escaped their art card phase and have moved onto the 3D model phase. Everything from their art phase made the transition over unsurprisingly, and they're both looking solid so far, so look forward to more Sugimoto and Ogata news in the future when we finally get the prototypes. The quintuplets finally made their appearance. All 5 girls are getting figures in their negligee, or is it lingerie, or maybe it's just nightgowns, I don't know. Either way, all of them are looking super cute. Nino and Miku, in my opinion, are looking the best. I just love their poses. But I have some questions that I don't think were answered in the video. How does this figure work? I assume it's just 5 figures and you put them together, right? Because if it's one big set, this is going to cost a ton of money. I mean, it will either way, but you'll have the choice at least to select your favorite girls if they're separated. And if they are individual purchases, can I link up any of the couches together, or will it only work in one formation? Hopefully it's flexible, though without a doubt the full set will look super nice for anyone who decides to jump on all 5 of these figures. And for the last announcement from Prisma Wing, we had another 3D model reveal for Shadow's house. I totally forgot they were making this, but that just made this reveal even better for me, honestly, because I think this was my favorite announcement from them today, easily. I really enjoyed Shadow's house, and Emiliko is such an adorable character, but I mean, come on, look at this freaking figure. You've got Kate and Emiliko running on parallel staircases together with Kate completely upside down, shit's just flying everywhere like furniture and cleaning supplies, parts of the base are like falling apart or turning into shadows. I can't really tell due to the way this was rendered. Some of it even looks a little bit goopy, but the idea behind this one is just crazy. I just wish the cinematography here calmed down a bit so I could actually focus on all of it at once, but it sorta adds to the figure's presentation in a way. Definitely looking forward to seeing more of this one in the future. I don't think I'm going to be ready to fully see it painted, and I'm pretty sure I won't be able to afford it. I just have a feeling it's going to blow me away, and I'll be sad, honestly, if it doesn't. So all in all, a much better showing from Prisma Wing this time around. Despite only being about 15 minutes, we got a bunch of announcements and updates, so I can't say I'm disappointed at all. Even got a figure I'm excited to learn more about. But moving on, let's quickly jump over to Guilty Gear. So, context, all of this was announced in the middle of a presentation about Strive Season 2's like news and updates. Unexpectedly, we got a few figure updates during this presentation, with the first one being a surprise update on Broccoli's May. I've been waiting to see her for many months now. She's been stuck as a 3D model for so long, and let me tell you, I was very happy when we not only got the fully painted prototype shown off, but that it was announced that she would go up for sale in the beginning of June. This is a day one purchase for me, unless it's just stupidly priced, but let's hope not. I think they nailed this figure. Her colors are so vibrant, her pose looks very cute and playful, and while the footage we have isn't the clearest, her clothing sculpt appears to be very well done too. No details missed, like all the stitching along her pockets, the baggy, slightly oversized look of her sweatshirt from the game is maintained, and her hat just looks very puffy. It's a little sad there's no Mr. Dolphin appearance, but at least they gave us her anchor. I'll definitely have more to say about this one when she goes up for pre-order and when I get her, so expect more coverage soon. But the future is looking bright for us May fans. Other announcements, while exciting, didn't have as much to show, such as these next two, which could have appeared in the Prisma TV video, but didn't. Both Ram and Dizzy are getting figures from Prisma Wing, 1/7 scale, but no other information was shown at this time. There's a lot of potential here. Both of these two are prime material for making beautiful scale figures as we've seen in the past from other companies. And when you give them to a company that likes to be a bit extra with the poses and bases, yeah, expect something very dynamic and expensive for these two. Storm Collectibles is also getting in on the fun with their Soul Bad Guy 1/10 scale posable figure. Now Storm Collectibles, I sorta like them. I own their M. Bison figure and it's actually pretty sick, but sometimes they just miss the mark on a few things. Usually it's the face, which I feel like is the issue here with the Soul figure. But I only have this one image on hand, so it's a bit hard for me to fully judge. Like everything else about Soul looks very nice for a posable figure. Tons of detail sculpted into his outfit, paint job is looking clean, and he'll likely have some very cool effect parts. But I can only hope that the future photos or maybe alternate faceplates make him look a bit more badass and cool. Finally, for the Guilty Gear announcements, we got the biggest surprise and the biggest monkey paw of them all. Baiken is getting a figure. Like, finally, goddamn, the money is just waiting to be made. But why is Union Creative making her? Like, come on, man, this just has Max Factory written all over it. But for whatever reason, Union Creative got the rights to make her. It's just sorta hard to be excited because the company is just so hit or miss. Usually miss, and the likelihood for another company to pick up Baiken is very slim. For whatever reason, Guilty Gear just doesn't pump out that many figures, so when your only shot of getting a Baiken is now a gamble, it hurts. Hopefully this one turns out good. Hopefully I'm just completely wrong here. I would love to be wrong, but I don't know, guys. She's also a 1/6 scale for some reason, whereas most Guilty Gear figures have been 1/7 lately, so she's not even gonna fit well with the rest of them. Just weird all around, but yeah, that's it for the Guilty Gear figures. I wasn't expecting much. Actually, I wasn't expecting anything at all, so it's a nice surprise and one that I just wanted to share with you guys. For our last section, I'm a bit late here, but I also don't think many people have covered this event, so I figured let's talk about the Kotobukiya Collection really quick. This was hosted a couple of days ago and had a few exciting things, such as the reveal of Nate from Pokemon Black and White 2. But more exciting for me, because I've been trying to wish this into existence for years now, and I just mentioned it in my May review, but Rosa is finally getting re-released. Like, holy shit. Guys, we did it. We made it happen. They heard our requests, and now we don't have to pay $300 goddamn dollars to get our hands on her. And it also means that more Pokemon figures are absolutely going to be re-released down the line. But I think it's safe to say that many of them will get re-released. So the patient people, you will be rewarded. Pre-orders for her also go up on June 23rd, which happens to be my birthday. Very weird timing. It's just so specific to me that it feels like someone actually watched that video. Another excellent figure that got shown off was Nanakusa Nazuna from Call of the Night, which has a lot of hype behind its upcoming anime. And the character design of this girl is just so good. I really love her look, so I'm excited to see if the show is something I like along with her, because I can totally see myself buying this. Even if it was just because of her face, because I can't help but fall in love with that expression. That grin and those eyes look so good, but also this figure just happens to have a really interesting design to it. Like that big oversized coat that's draping off of her and mixing into the base itself. I believe this is based on artwork and it's really neat. The color palette is a bit drab, I suppose. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but the composition of this whole thing is strong. The character design is strong. Either way, I can totally see this girl being added to my collection, whether it be this one or some other companies. But at the very least, this one has my attention. We got a few VTuber updates as well, not only from Hololive, but Niji-Sanji as well. But starting off with Hololive, Shion was painted, just a really cute figure with a simple but effective pose. The outfit's loudness is carrying this figure a bit, but that's not a bad thing. It's got a great color palette and it's a fun costume in general. Subaru has also escaped the art phase, but no paint unfortunately. I'm very glad she didn't get stuck in her old pose from the art card, since this one is much more expressive. The hat flying off the head is definitely a nice touch as well. There's just some good energy in this sculpt. I sort of hope this pose was chosen so that we can get the duck placed under her left leg. It almost feels like it needs to be there, but that could just be wishful thinking. On the Niji-Sanji side of things, Kuzuha was shown off, making him the second Gamer Boy figure from Kotobukiya to be sitting in his gamer chair. Funny enough, I do like this idea, but it's almost like they don't know what else to do with male VTubers, so they just throw them into a chair. Because this dude is in some very casual, like lounging around clothes, I don't really have that much else to say about him. I mean, he looks good, but it's not really that interesting, if that makes sense. There was also some announcements for Anju Katrina and Inui Toko, who, you know, do have more interesting character designs, and both are looking very cute. But I'm so unfamiliar with Niji-Sanji that I don't really know what else to add here, but hey, now you know if you didn't previously. Okay, what else was there? Well, there's this Angel girl who we could talk about, but she's already up for pre-order, so I'll likely talk about her in my upcoming May pre-order video. But Philo was also painted, and it's likely more interesting for a lot of you. I think by default this is going to be Philo's best figure, as I haven't been a fan of any other that's been revealed, but even if that wasn't the case, this one is shaping up really nicely. They placed her on this base that's very similar to the Raphtalia figure in the same line, which I know is a very popular figure, so these two are going to match really well together. But I just hope that the pose doesn't indicate that there's going to be some leaning over time, because that's all I can really think about when I stare at her. I think if we separate that somewhat realistic fear from our minds though, she does look excellent. A really cute appearance, good shading on the dress, hair sculpt on point, and the pose is different enough to stand out in a good way. Plus the base actually does look good for being just a bunch of rocks and grass. The color choices are solid. I also assume she won't be that expensive, so as long as the leaning isn't an issue, I think this one is a good get for Shield Hero fans. Inumaki Toge is joining the Jujutsu Kaisen line. This line of figures has definitely been a bit more on the reserve side when it comes to their poses, but their price points are always so low that it's kind of hard to complain. Like, the pose here is fine, but I also don't know what else he would be doing considering his ability unless they wanted to add a bunch of effect parts, so I don't really have that much more to say. Wrapping up the announcements was a reveal of the Megatron Bishojo statue. I can't remember if I made a video on the last time this was shown off, but my initial impressions were that Megatron looked a lot better than Optimus Prime to me, and that opinion still stands here. I just think she's a bit hotter, I guess, and the giant cannon in her hand is a lot cooler than a briefcase. This isn't something I'd buy. I'm not the demographic at all here, but as far as a Bishojo goes, she does look cool. But I really want to hold judgment until she's painted, because part of the reason I liked her at first was her color scheme. There was also some quick announcements in the Bishojo line. Batgirl, Thor, and Loki are all being turned into figures. Thor seems to be coming out relatively soon, so I'm kind of surprised we don't have a prototype yet. But yeah, that's going to do it for Kotobukiya and the video in general. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode of Figure News, and there's going to be another one coming up pretty soon, assuming the new Wonder Hobby has enough to show off. We really don't know that much about it, so bear with me, hoping it's good, but I have no idea. Thanks for watching this video though. If you want to support the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch more, and like this video to help it spread around. Until next time though, I'll catch you later. See ya!